Hello and welcome to My Xbox and Me, episode 281. I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer, alongside the one and only Matt P. What's popping, brother? How you doing?
It's me again. Hello, everybody. Back once again.
I know. How's that feel? Is it weird to be back once again? Is it recurring?
I'm loving it, mate.
Weird. That's when you get look. When you start working with me for too long, as you'll notice with all the 8 co-hosts. They leave pretty quickly. Usually, you got. Now I'm thinking about. Actually, I was talking to Haley about it. I was like, "We're a British podcast now. We've never been a British podcast. We've always had an American on the show. So for me,
you haven't got to record at ridiculous hour in the evening or morning.
I've got to give credit where credit is due. Snowbite Mike used to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning for me. Kresh was a night person. He was up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So credit where credit is due to people that have done it. They've worked around me very well. So, but yeah, this is way better. 2 o'clock, I'll be finished today and I get to leave. It'd be nice.
Excited.
How you been though, dude?
Really good. Busy week on the old tech radars, but good stuff.
Good. Yeah, man. It's a weird old time right now for video games. There's very big lull periods. So I'm kind of going back in my back catalogue, which we'll talk about in a bit, of games I'm playing. And then it's a weird one where there's a lot of news, but there's not a lot of news, and there's some big stories, but not big stories. And it's a whole weird thing. But if you didn't know, My Xbox and Me is our weekly Xbox podcast here on youtube.com/myxboxandme. And of course, all podcast services, Spotify, iTunes, all those good places is where you can get it. If you want the show early, which admittedly, I've been behind on due to just life stuff and the way we've been recording, head over to patreon.com/mcfixer. The people know that I'm explaining that over there. If you want to support the show, keep the lights on, keep me employed, I'm fully independent, that is the place to go. Our Patreon producers this week are Erengard, big shout out to Erengard, FNH Paul, and of course, our tribesman. Topic of the show this week. One that came out of kind of nowhere, to be honest with you, and really confused me because I didn't understand it at first, which I'll get into in a second, but Embracer Group has announced they are buying, I guess kind of weird buying, they are merging with Gearbox in a 1.3 billion, that's 1.3 billion deal. So Embracer Group, the parent company of studios like THQ Nordic, Koch Media, Saber Interactive, announced early on Wednesday morning that they will be entering a merger with Gearbox Entertainment. The deal will amount up to 1.3 billion. In a press release posted on Embracer's website, states that the deal will allow Gearbox to collaborate with Embracer and use the resources to continue developing games and franchises. So, before we go any further, did you know, so maybe this is just one of those, I've been doing this so long, right, that I kind of feel like I have when I first got in the industry, that was the big thing that scared me. Learning studios, learning who owned the studios. Like, those are the things that used to scare me a lot, because that's something, being in the industry, you need to know. You need to know who owns who does this. I always thought that Take-Two owned Gearbox. So crazy. So it was just a publishing thing. It was just a publishing deal they had with them, which... that makes a lot of sense, because Gearbox obviously was publishing their own games and they published other people's games. So it made sense to me, but I never really put the two together. So then when this news came out, I was like, oh yeah, they're independent. Technically, they were independent. So,
no, I'm the exact same
crazy.
as you. I think I assumed the exact same thing. And now I'm wondering, like, all these other companies that are in similar positions, I'm like, are they owned by that? Like, are they owned by Activision, or are they just published under them? But yeah, we'll see.
So, what was your initial thoughts on this one? Because the reason I asked is because we're getting to this weird place where you see what happens with Xbox, who they're buying up constantly. Obviously, we've got the news with obviously Bethesda coming through relatively soonish. I believe that's the 4th of... No, is it the 4th of this month? It can't be. That was yesterday. Might have been...
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Month. I think it's next month, March, that the European are going to rule on that or something like that. You see them get gobbled up. You see EA are now on the brink of buying Codemasters, which is another interesting one. And then you see this. It's sort of like the industry's like, oh, we all need to align with somebody right now and become the big company, be a part of a big company, which in one way is exciting. Obviously from a first party front for Xbox, and there's a ton of rumors out there. There's something I try not to talk about on the podcast until there's someone with a bit of credibility before I'm going to jump in. For those who don't know what I'm referencing, there's rumors out there that Xbox are trying to get in a deal with Sega and maybe Konami. But again, I'm not going to go diving deep and then speculating, because the people that have said it are not, I don't think they've got enough information or credibility towards them. But yeah, this deal came out of nowhere. Obviously, lots and lots of money. Obviously, you see another group get gobbled up. And I was a bit shocked. I was a bit shocked. Nothing's going to change. In the grand scheme of things, for Gearbox, nothing's going to change. Randy Pickford is still the, what is he? Still the CEO of Gearbox. They're still going to operate independently. And the quote we got here is, the feeling at Gearbox is that we are getting started, and this transition is not merely a stimulant for talent for our employment owned company, but a proposal for the exciting future we have planned, Pickford said in a statement. Again,
I think it's a weird statement, right? To say, like, we're just getting started. Like, Gearbox are pretty well established at this point. I think to say, I mean, look, when you're a company of that size, you always say we're just getting started. I'm sure Disney could come out with a statement tomorrow saying we're just getting started, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I feel like they're well established, and I think the interesting thing about this is this use of the word, like, merging throughout it, right? Embracer Group aren't buying Gearbox or vice versa; they are merging. What that actually means, I don't. It's so difficult to tell, isn't it? But
I know the back-end stuff that we don't know, I guess. Exactly.
I'm sure it's just good news for everybody, right? Like, it's more money in the bank to be able to do what they want to do. The thing that this news story highlighted for me is, where is it? This also includes Gearbox's films and TV projects. Didn't know that was happening.
Yeah,
including the Borderlands movie. I was like, brilliant. I didn't know that was happening. But great stuff.
No. The film? Oh, yeah.
I must have missed that. It.
That's either been rumored or, like, confirmed for a while now, because we're all, like, wondering how it's actually going to turn out. Obviously, they just confirmed that Kevin Hart's going to play Roland in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I've been totally dark on this stuff. Okay,
don't
cool.
Worry. You're here now, baby. We'll get you caught up with all the news. It's one of those ones where it makes sense to me. I just didn't expect it. And like you said, Gearbox are a absolute behemoth of a company. So I just assumed they were doing totally fine. But what I do think this hopefully brings is stability for all of the developers in Gearbox, and will maybe allow them to take a few more risks. If you think about the games they've made as of lately, right? Obviously, they've done some publishing stuff. Obviously, they published Godfall, which didn't do too well on the PlayStation or PC. They then did, obviously, Borderlands 3. It just feels like they've been very safe, and it takes them a very, very, very long time to get games out. Where hopefully this allows them to then grow into even more studios. They've had a few misses. Obviously, Bloodborne didn't turn out to be the greatest game. Obviously, Duke Nukem Forever. They've had some great ones, and then they've had some bad games, right? So maybe this will give them the stability and safety of, like, okay, we can actually take a few risks here now, because we just made 1.8 billion or whatever it was, 3 billion. Like, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's business as usual, or do you think that there's a possibility now we might see a few more risks from Gearbox?
I would love to see more risks. I think Borderlands is a franchise that's never really hit for me, and I know that's going to be sacrilege to a lot of people. A lot of people love that series, but it's never hit for me for some reason. Although I love the concept of it, right? Like a million guns, billion guns, whatever they say now. And people love the Borderlands series. I understand that, and I think if they announce a new IP, a lot of people are going to be like, just give me Borderlands 4. But I would love to see them try something else. I think their visual style, their core mechanics, and their gameplay is tight. Like everything there should work for me. I don't know why it doesn't. But I would love to see them go somewhere else.
Borderlands is such a unique world where I understand what you're saying, where it took me forever to play Borderlands 1. And then once I played Borderlands 1, I fell in love with the series. But Borderlands 3, for me, was such a step backwards because I wanted an evolution of Borderlands. And that isn't what Borderlands 3 is. Borderlands 3 feels like a game that is built in a vacuum, which is, we are building this game, it is the extension of this Borderlands series. I don't think there's much different between Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 3, really. There's a few mechanics here and there, they've tightened up gunplay, the world looks a bit prettier, graphics are nicer, etc. But there's nothing that really goes, and this is the next gen, next version, next big thing, and this is why you have to have it. It was in time just more Borderlands, really.
Yeah.
Their end game is still not strong enough for me for a game that has, like you said, a million, billion, trillion guns, whatever it is. And that's the loop, is getting all the guns, and it's like, that's not enough for me. I want a raid. And this world is built for raiding and stuff like that, and just never got there the way. I've never been a Destiny person. Like, playing Destiny, I play the base game, finish the story, everyone else goes off some raids, and I'm like, I'm good, I'm here, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm good. Borderlands for me, I was hoping was going to be the game that dragged me in, was like, oh, I love these characters, I love these abilities, and this really grow. I'm hoping that Borderlands 4 has got to be in the works. It's a game that sells gangbuster numbers, has a cult following. You've got to assume they're doing that. But I really hope now they take those risks that that we want. But yeah, it's a good piece of news nonetheless for people.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of stockholders, or what? Again, we're back to stocks. A lot of people made some money. The board have made some money. I'm sure they're not going hungry at night with 1.3 billion. Am I right?
I think, yeah, exactly. And I think, Borderlands 3 came out a while ago at this point. Yeah, they had 2 DLC drops last year, but they whatever they have been working on, I'm not sure that whether it's a new IP or whether it's Borderlands 4, I'm not sure this merger would necessarily affect that. No. Maybe this just gives them enough money to maybe make a second team that's working on new IP. Maybe they already have that. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors, right? Yeah. So I think maybe for the next couple of years, we're not going to really see whatever this means really until the Duke Nukem movie comes out, whenever that is.
Don't even think about it. No.
When I read that, I was like, surely that can't be a thing. There can't be a Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem is a franchise, like, you can't win with that anymore. Like, if you stay true to what Duke Nukem is, it's not
sexist,
okay.
And,
it's horrible.
Everything else under the sun.
Exactly. And if you deviate from that, you have to be really clever about how you're going to deviate from it. Otherwise, you just piss off everybody, right? Yeah. Like, I don't think you could win with Duke Nukem, especially in a movie. Like, what are we doing? It's a bad idea.
No, I totally agree with you. Totally agree. Let's jump into what's been in our box this week. Last week, you had played the medium, you had finished it, you had your thoughts. I hadn't touched the game. I have now beaten the medium. Everyone will be happy to know. Clap, 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 clap. I know, I'm amazing. I am happy to confirm it is not my game of the year. Hitman 3 still remains it. Yeah, crazy.
I'm shocked.
Crazy. The medium. A video game that I have been extremely excited about, but I've been very reserved in the way I speak about it because of my record with Team Bloopers games. I've said this. They make good worlds, they make interesting worlds, but I always think their gameplay falls flat. Again, I've said this before if you listen to the podcast. Layers of Fear, I thought was fantastic, amazing, because I didn't know what it was. Then you go into a game like the Blair Witch Project, which I knew what I was getting. It just didn't work for me. The medium is meant to be the next step up from that. And I think it is, to be fair. I do think this is a step up in terms of Team Blooper's storytelling, in terms of its graphical fidelity, in terms of its gameplay. That being said, it's still not quite good enough, in my opinion. The medium, for all intents and purposes, is a walking simulator, which is what I didn't want it to be. It's got puzzles and things like that, but you are literally walking and move into the next cutscene. That is what you're waiting for. You are playing this game strictly on its story alone. Which, if you do not like the story of this, you will know within an hour. You will know very quickly if you care about the story.
You'll know within the sort of opening screen, which gives you a load of trigger warnings that it's going to hit, and that will definitely turn some people off, right? But yeah, I totally agree with you.
100%. The one thing I will say is I'm not a smart man. I'm not. And easily confused, easily get distracted, right? So I played this through with Haley, the full thing. She absolutely loved it. Remember, she's not the one playing the game though. So from a story perspective, she absolutely loved it. And people are probably thinking, we want to hear your opinion, not hers. Totally. But I need to say, she understood the story, so she got it, and it clicked with her, and it worked for her. And she would have played it through on her own. Me, on the other hand, I was lost from the second half. As soon as the wheelchair came, which everyone, I'm not saying nothing more than the wheelchair, but as soon as that part happened and we moved beyond that, I was lost. I don't know whether it was a case of I should have played through the game in one whole playthrough. We did it in 2 days, which 2 days I didn't forget that much, but it just didn't work for me. That second half of the game for me, I was absolutely lost. And we'll call it the water puzzle. Just the tanks.
Yeah.
I hated it. I hated it. Like, there's nothing worse than when you know you're at the end of a game and then there's a thing that's in front of you that maybe it was tired, maybe I was fatigued, maybe I just had enough of this game. But I just couldn't figure it out for the longest time. And I was just like, this is stupid. It's not a hard puzzle at all. It's very simple if you think about it. But for some reason, it just didn't click in my gosh darn brain. So that leaves me in this weird place of like, Xbox, this was their game. This is one of the games they picked up as an exclusive. And don't get me, it's in Game Pass, so it didn't cost people lots of money if you didn't play it. If you played it in Game Pass, it was a $40 experience if you did buy it, which I don't think it's not worth $40. I just think you need to have your expectations set and know what you are getting.
I think also it's made for a very specific type of player. Like, yes. I think if you do even the littlest bit of research, you know if you're going to be into this game or not. You know, like, listening to what we have to say about it, it's not trying to hide what it is. It's not like,
no,
yeah, oh, you know, there's crazy combat in it. We know that's not there.
Yeah.
The thing I'm hoping here, it's been pretty well received, right? I was just looking it up. So Metacritic scored 76%, which is really good. So what I want to see is Team Blooper take that on and say, look, we can do it. Every time we've stepped up, or maybe not every time. You know, some people would say that which is a little step down.
No, but they are building upon the foundation in which they already had there, right? Which
exactly.
Layers of Fear is their first game that I came across, and you can see even Blair Witch, as much as I didn't like it, it is graphically better than Layers of Fear. And you see they've taken that step again with this. So I do know what you mean. The biggest problem with this game is it's the smartest the smartest moment of this game is, of course, the two worlds. The two worlds, all of that stuff is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. It's very enjoyable when it's there. I don't think it's there enough.
Totally.
In my opinion.
I would love to see Team Blooper now sort of get this. I think they will consider this a success.
Yes,
and I think they should.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see them get a little bit more support now, a little more people on the team. So their next project, if it's the Medium 2, I don't think their next project necessarily should be the Medium 2, but eventually when we get a Medium 2, because I would love to see that.
Yeah.
It can really be a step up. And maybe we do have, I keep going back to combat. I don't necessarily need combat in this game, but something else, you know, and better sections, more thought out sections with the two worlds.
Yeah.
I would love to see an improvement. I would love to see Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2 jump with the Medium. And I would be super excited for that. So yeah, hopefully that's what this means for them. And I really hope it does.
I think they need first party backing from or big studio backing. So whether that's I hate to say it, but whether that's an EA picks them up or Xbox picks them up, PlayStation picks them up, whoever, they need someone to be able to go, here's the money that you need, because you've got the technology. Yeah. The technology's there, the world building's there. The writing, again, for me, a bit too complicated, but that's just because, again, I just didn't get it. It just didn't click with me. But it's clearly there. It hit some people in the right places with its story, right? So they need someone to come along and go, here's the money, here's the time, and let's see what you can really do with those two things, which is the most important things in game dev. It's being able to go get the talent that you want. I think they've just... If I'm not mistaken, I saw a listing, a work listing for Team Blooper looking for someone to do combat. So I'm super excited to see that in their next game, which I hope I'm right, and I hope that is what it is, because I think that's people's biggest... I think critically it's done really well, but amongst normal people or not reviewers, this game's boring, because I don't think they actually set up what the game was in terms of its gameplay early enough. They needed to explain that this is a walking sim, and then there wouldn't be as many people left disappointed about that if it was just up front. I stayed away from all of the gameplay stuff because I didn't want to see anything, because it would spoil the game for me, especially with a type of game like this. If I don't know what the 14-minute chunk was now, I should probably go back and have a look. Because
we did a preview for it on Tech Radar. It was it was almost all of it up until you see the morph for the first time. That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, yeah. No, the beginning portion, the beginning portion
Yeah.
of the game. See, I'm glad I didn't see that, because I would have been frustrated having to have done that again when I would have known what to do. Because there's not much, you can't really go off the beaten path in any of this game.
No.
That's something I'd love to see more of as well in the next game, which is, if you're going to tell me a story like this, at least let me decide where the story goes in certain dialogue options and things like that. It just needs a little bit more interaction, and needs me to buy in a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. I think Team Blooper probably had conversations. They wanted to do that. Like, you can tell there are stories throughout this game that are almost like sub stories that are being told like contextually, and it does really interesting stuff. If they'd had more time and resources, they probably would have loved to have fleshed that out, which is what I'm saying about Medium 2 potentially exactly doing that.
I watched the reveal trailer again the other day, and the whole reveal trailer, we don't see any of that in the game, of like what they were setting up. There's obviously story elements to it that you can go, oh, that is this and this is that, but there's whole moments I'm like, we should have seen that in the game, just to help me, someone like me, to have a little bit more context of what you're actually speaking about. One thing I will say is, if you're playing this game, put the subtitles on and put the characters' names on as well. Very important, because I didn't do that, and it would have helped me track the story a lot better than what it did. But
yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, especially in the early part of the game, you're picking up letters and you're being introduced to all these characters through like long memos that they're sending each other, and then they are important characters later on. So yeah, I totally get, you don't initially get that face to a name, and because of that, I can understand why you would struggle then to attach it.
It did.
Totally get that.
The whole time I'm like, Haley, is this? And she's like, yeah, that's that. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
And I think that definitely helped me playing it in one sitting, like I did, and which is I wouldn't necessarily recommend that to people.
No.
You mentioned at the top of the show, like, there isn't that much out that we're playing at the moment. We're going back to our backlog. I'm the same. I kind of wish that I still had the medium that I was still working my way through, but didn't work like that, did it? So
no. There's nothing else to really add on. I won't be doing a spoiler cast for it, just because I don't understand the story enough to sit. I would literally be sat there very quiet. So unfortunately, for those who did,
me and Haley should do a spoiler cast on it.
Yo, it'd be way more entertaining than me being on it. Let me tell you, because I wouldn't have a bloody clue.
The only bit I really want to talk about is the last 2 minutes. So
we will talk. Yeah, it's so confusing. But yeah, anything else? What have you been playing?
Still playing. Well, I finished Hitman now. Well,
Nice.
I finished. Rolled credits
so you
on
rolled
Hitman.
credits, same as me. Yeah. So when I said I've finished, I've rolled credits as well. I've got to go back and do more.
Yeah, and like I was saying in sort of last week's show, I was like finishing a mission, and then I was going back immediately and replaying that mission. So I feel like I've already played every mission like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And when I did roll credits, I was like, oh, I'm kind of done. The last mission is structured quite differently. Like, it's a corridor. It's not a spoiler, right? It's not a corridor. It's a train.
No. Yeah, it's a train. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there is only one way to go. So doing that in different ways, there isn't much to that.
My favorite mission, by the way.
Oh, really?
I think
more so than Dartmoor? Nah.
I think the reason why I like that mission. No, probably not. But my second mission, favorite mission, I guess. The reason I love that mission so much is because I felt like such a badass going through windows and coming back up and in and out, and it's like, again, that's not a spoiler. You can tackle it however you want, which is you can run straight through it. But the way I did it was the one time I felt like I did stealth properly. Like, I actually felt like I did. I was actually James Bond. I was actually Agent 47 for the first time.
I did not do it that way. I was like, oh, there's a shotgun with a silencer. Brilliant. Here we go. Yeah, so yeah, I didn't do it, but yeah. So when I rolled credits, I felt like I was done. I was like ready to put down the controller, and then I saw these like contracts pop up from like Kind of Funny and stuff, and I'm like, oh well, yeah, I'm jumping back in for that. Let's go. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
so,
no,
I'll be playing that.
The roadmap. The roadmap will be coming in the news in a little bit, but yeah, it's I haven't played any more Hitman, but I do need to go back and play more. I've been in this weird rut with games at the moment. Plus, I've been playing a bunch of Destruction All-Stars, which obviously for this platform doesn't really matter, but I've got like 30 wins in that.
Sick,
I've got like 10 hours and 30 wins, so yeah.
Me and a couple of mates tried to play it last night and had some serious connection issues, but when we eventually got in, we were golden. And the only other weird thing, I know this isn't the right platform for it, but
you're good.
There's no music in the gameplay. When you're actually in the game, there's no music.
No, so
we ended up, the most fun we had last night was building a Spotify playlist and all syncing up, hitting the play button, and then we were listening to that. It was an absolute blast.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I had Lucid Dreams, the developers, actually in my Twitch chat 2 days ago. They were watching me play it and complimenting.
Oh, cool.
It was a weird experience to have because you're sitting there having fun with their game, but you have so many critiques of it as well.
Yeah, sure.
And you're like, hey guys, can we get this? And can we get a better progression system? And can we get this? And it was a very weird moment for me as a Twitch streamer where I'm like, oh, they're probably actually taking notes on what I'm saying because I was the number one streamer at the time who was playing it as well. So it was very strange. It was a weird experience, but it was fun. It was fun. I think it's a fun game. A lot of people don't like it, but I actually think it's quite a fun game.
I see the potential in it for sure. And I think car combat is something that's so difficult to get right and so difficult to make fun. I think it is fun. I think it's done really well in their game. I mean, it is the entirety of their game, but I think it is done really well. But yeah, you're right. Like it definitely has room to improve, but it's a PS Plus game and it's out, so they have that time and room to improve it. Hopefully. It's a shame that it hasn't hit the same way like Fall Guys did, right? And everybody was talking about it. But we'll see.
Fall Guys, I was never a fan. It's fine. Fall Guys is overhyped.
Fall Guys is amazing.
Maybe I'll like it when it comes to Xbox. Maybe I'll like it when it comes to Xbox. Maybe. It's never.
But I'm curious, Fixer. I'm segueing you now. Werewolf: The Apocalypse, Earthblood. I want to know about this game, man. It's obviously based on like a tabletop RPG, and that was the thing that got me excited for it. I don't have any experience with it, but like those tabletop RPGs have such lore dedicated to them. I was like, oh man, is this going to be like a Bloodborne level lore going on in this?
Oh yeah, Bloodborne, great game. Oh, this game's awful. This game is atrocious.
Oh God, I didn't expect us to end up here.
I have never been sent a code for a game. Usually I do. I get sent a code for a game, and especially if it's a game that I know people are looking forward to, I will sit there and force myself to play it. So I can speak educated on the matter and on the game.
Sure.
This was the first time I had ever been sent a code for a game that I was somewhat excited about this game as well. And I played I must have played maybe an hour, maybe less of it, and went, nope, I'm not playing this. It looks like a 360 game. It controls like a 360 game. The dialogue is absolutely atrocious, in my opinion. It just isn't. The writing's clearly bad. Like, I don't know. I was really shocked when I was playing it because I was like, have they sent me the wrong game? Like, is this actually what you want to put out there? Like, that's what really shocked and worried me, where I was like, this is an Xbox One game, right? A PS4 game. I'm playing it on my Series X. So don't get me wrong. I wasn't expecting like crazy, amazing graphics.
Sure.
But getting this, I was just a bit like, really? This is what you're putting up? And the thing that worried me the most was the amount of people I've heard say how they're looking forward to this game. And now I'm the guy on the internet going, don't buy this. Save your money. Do not buy this. It controls so boring. And there's this... So it's a stealth game mixed in with these werewolf mechanics of you turn into a werewolf and fighting. It's literally just you bashing buttons the whole time and then transferring back out and going on a stealth bit. I just couldn't bring myself to keep playing because it was that boring and that ugly. And I never want I hate talking about people's hard work like this in this manner because I understand. I'm just an idiot on the internet. I can't make video games. I understand that. But I'm paid to give my opinion, and this is my opinion. It's just, it isn't worth your time. I will say that.
Wow. Yeah, that's disappointing to hear. I thought, yeah, at least if there was a good enough story there, maybe to persevere through. But
no,
man, such a shame. Such a shame.
Not for me, anyway. Maybe for other people, it would be. It would be. And let's do our due diligence, right? IGN gave it a 4. Push Square gave it a 5. Ventral Beat gave it a 3. Who else are we looking for here, review-wise? I'm just trying to find someone that gave it way better than myself, that maybe thinks of it a lot higher than me. I'm not finding anything, unfortunately. And there's always that moment inside of you, right, where you know your opinion on something, but you don't know how everybody else is going to react. So, and as a reviewer, that's one of the scariest moments I've ever had in terms of reviewing games. When you think something's amazing, the best game ever, you're scared. And when you think something's absolutely trash and not worth your time, it scares me as well. Because you just expect to get attacked one way or the other. With this one, I like that. I don't like the fact that it's bad, but I like the fact that other people are like, yeah, this is bad. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only one.
There is definitely a consensus there, right? You read out 2 4s and a 5 or whatever it was, you know, whereas the medium, sort of last week before, you know, Tech Radar, we gave it 4.5 stars. Games Radar gave it 2.5, and there's a out of 5. And so there's a big difference there, right? And that gives you equal amount of anxiety when you're the person saying, this is a 4 out of 5, and not somebody else saying it's a 2. So, yeah, man, but it seems like the consensus is with you on this one.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God. Don't buy this. I'm sorry. Wait for a sale. Wait for it to come down in price if you really want to play in that world and play with those mechanics. But watch some gameplay. But yeah, I couldn't put myself through it. Sorry. Sorry.
Was there ever been a good werewolf game? Have we ever had a good werewolf game? Where you play as a werewolf?
Game? What was that fighting game on the PS1? Bloody Rage? What was it called? I've got to find it now. PS1
I do not remember this game at all.
Rage, Blood. Is it called Blood
Werewolf,
Rage?
Moon.
Bloody Raw.
How have you pulled that? I need to look it up now too. Hold on.
Bloody Raw. Yeah, that game was amazing. I remember that. Bloody Raw, known as Bloody Raw Hyper Dual Beast in Europe and Japan, is a fighting video game originally developed by Resolin as an arcade game. It was later adapted to the PlayStation by Hudson Soft and published by Sony. The arcade. I want to get to the actual gameplay. At the beginning of
the music is amazing.
Look, dude, this game was the one back in the day. I mean, I played all these mad, weird games, though, back in the day. Like, audience, let me know if you remember Bloody Raw.
Raw.
Let me know.
Raw spell like a raw, like a werewolf roaring, not raw meat. I put raw meat in.
Look at the cover. Look at the cover of that, dude. Like,
I haven't seen the cover. Hold on.
It is the one. But yeah,
I mean, yeah, it looks amazing. What can I say?
That's the only werewolf game I can think of that was good. Yeah, off the top of my head, anyway.
All right, well, there you go. My question answered. Yeah.
Anything else? What else you been playing? Anything? You been dabbling in anything?
Yeah, me. So me and my mates been playing Sea of Thieves, which is
how you like it?
Bloody great game. It's awesome. We never played it on launch.
Yeah,
we've like our little group of friends. Oh, honestly, really? It wasn't the game it is now?
No, it definitely that's been such a turnaround story for me where I went to Rare Studio just before it released to play the game, check it out. Liked what I played there. And then the game came out and I just thought it was so boring. And then you see how it has like adapted and grown and grown and grown and grown. And I'm super happy that it got an audience on Twitch, which definitely helped. And the amount of stuff they've added to that game, battle passes in it now, amongst other things, I'm so happy it's done well because that team is amazing. They're absolutely amazing people. I loved meeting them. I've been out for drinks and they're like, "Yep, let me get you a drink." It's been amazing. That hasn't influenced my decision on the game, which was the game was bad when I played it.
Yeah, well, I think we lucked into joining at the right time. We joined just as they kicked off season 1, which was like last week.
Yeah.
And so I think that really helped us. I think with these live service games, when you join late, it's always a bit of a slog of like, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing, right? And there was definitely that moment. But when we hit a bit of a stride and started doing like the kind of story missions that it lays out for you, we're having an absolute blast with it. And we are definitely late to the party. Like we were all PlayStation 4 before. We've all jumped over to Xbox this time because of Game Pass and stuff like that. And yeah, having an absolute blast with it. And I'm aware that it's like a 3-4 year old game at this point, maybe even more, right?
I think that's the power of Game Pass, though, right?
For sure.
It can be a 4-year-old game that's a living game still going, and it allows you and your friends to jump in at a low cost and experience something a little bit special. Which I remember playing. Who did I play it with? I played it with a group of people and just mucking around the whole time. Like, I wasn't taking it serious. I wasn't doing... So I'm just, like, causing havoc on our ship, shooting a parrot out the cannon, I think, or something like that, and just having a ton of fun with it. I got locked in the prison cell down the bottom. In the brig, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, guys, is this what's going to happen now? But yeah, it was a fun time. It was a good time. I'm glad you're having fun with it as well.
Yeah, no, it is a blast. I think the way that the missions are set up are really like unique and interesting, and like, we're going to give you this book and it has a bunch of clues in it, and you kind of just got to figure it out. Like, it's all definitely easy enough to figure out. You're not going to get super stuck on anything. No. We haven't had to Google much yet. There was one thing we had to Google, but yeah, we're just having like a blast with it, and you get a real sense of accomplishment because it's not holding your hand. Yeah, and like, it just throws you into it. Like, we're just trying to figure it all out as we go, and yeah, just having a blast with it.
Fair enough. Let's jump into this week's dashboard and get through the news. First news story is EA Play has almost 13 million players thanks to being part of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate Partnership. Today, Electronic Arts shared its financial results for fiscal year Q3 2021. One of the highlights is the split in digital and physical sales, as EA reports a 62% in digital sales share in the last 12 months. Apex Legends saw a 30% year-over-year growth in players, while net booking overall for the past 12 months reached 5.9 billion. EA spokesperson on its ongoing acquisition of Codemasters, which is intended to build a quote racing powerhouse end quote. EA deems it's a natural fit, which with clear opportunities for EA Sports, while EA also expects to further finalize the process tomorrow, February 3rd. During its earnings call, EA noted that EA Play, being combined with Xbox Game Pass, has accelerated its growth with almost 13 million players across platforms. For the upcoming, we'll get into that a bit later, actually. We'll talk about Mass Effect. But they also, the last thing they mentioned in this is that a new Battlefield game is on this way, due release before holiday 2021. You a Battlefield player? Do you play Battlefield?
I've always struggled with Battlefield. I think I'm too impatient for Battlefield. Battlefield maps are huge. I'm a COD guy over a Battlefield guy. Absolutely.
Have you ever played Battlefield with a group of friends?
Yes, Battlefield.
Oh, okay. Popular guy here.
Interesting. Battlefield 1.
You've got friends. I don't know if we can have you on the podcast. You've got friends. I don't like it.
But they are the sort of friends that work much better in Sea of Thieves, where we can goof around a lot, as opposed to Battlefield, which is rough. It's bleak, and it's like, oh man, now I have to spawn all the way back here because you're in combat over there, and like, oh my god, yeah. And I'm just gonna get sniped on the way, and they'll do the whole thing over again. So yeah, I've never really meshed with Battlefield. I remember putting a lot of time into Bad Company 2. I knew way back in the day, and I think that's the classic thing everybody says, right? The Bad Company 2 is the best version of this game that they've made. I
loved Battlefield 3 on the Xbox One. When that first came out, it was one of the first titles I bought on my Xbox One. And I remember, take away the story problems that it had in terms of that. I mean, it's online is what I'm talking about. I remember having a lot of fun with that and playing with friends online and enjoying that. That was the last time I really dove in deep into a Battlefield, though. I'm excited for a new one because not only because streaming, that's obviously a big part of it. And if you can get a group of players together, that's always my biggest problem with Battlefield is you're on this huge match, but you're kind of having mini wars between other teams. It's like your team, we're taking the left flank, and we're going to keep fighting this team on the left flank. But you need a team of people to do it. Jumping in solo is so just grueling and boring. Yeah,
for sure. I wonder though, if they have to have had discussions at EA when they're building the next Battlefield, they have to be looking at Warzone and Apex and saying, how are we going to compete here?
They failed already with their Battle
totally
Royale,
agree.
is the problem.
And it's so easy to say, right, when you're me and you chatting on a podcast, but I think the way to go is to differentiate yourself from those brands. Like, don't come in here with a Battle Royale. I don't necessarily think it's the way to go. I think do what Battlefield does, do these large-scale battles, make it fun, make it engaging. And I think people are probably looking for something new now. Like, I don't think you can go head-to-head with Warzone and Apex. But, seeing that Apex has seen a 30% year-on-year increase in players is huge. That's
massive.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so maybe they're looking at Apex and going, well, Apex has that covered, so we will do something different with Battlefield. That's what I hope, but I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense to not try and eat away from their own player base as well, right? EA own both these titles. Sure. Why not just let Apex is clearly winning in terms of like Battlefield and Apex. It's clearly winning in the Battle Royale sense. It's free to play. It's making money. It's year over year up in growth. Battlefield, let's give us a single player. Let's give us our big maps. Let's give us... There's plenty... you can do both and then be successful in both. Where I feel like Call of Duty multiplayer online has fallen to the side a bit because they now focus so much on Warzone. I feel like, which I feel like we're going to get into a story about that a bit later, so I won't expand. But yeah, it's an interesting one. The question I want to pose to you, though, is obviously you hear the 13 million players in Game Pass because of Game Pass. Do you think that Ubisoft sees that? And they've got their, because at the moment they've got their own Ubisoft Plus thing on PC. They don't have it on console yet. Do you think they see that and go, oh, we want a bit of that pie? We want player base. We want to grow our revenue. Can we get in on Game Pass? Or do you think that's already been approached by Microsoft and they're like, hey, can we make this work somehow? Because we already have the player base.
I think there's probably... look, I'm sure conversations of like that have been had. I think there's potentially an issue where Ubisoft have their own PC platform for this stuff and Xbox will say, well... Game Pass isn't just an Xbox thing; it's a PC thing.
Yeah,
so
100%.
we can't have you sort of competing whilst at the same time taking a slice of the pie. Do you know what I mean? So would they let them in to Game Pass as well as having their own service? I don't know. I'm sure they're looking at that and going, yeah, we want to slice that pie because everybody wants to slice that pie, surely. Yeah. I don't know. But maybe Ubisoft think they're above it. I don't know. I'm sure that was said a bit more harshly than they probably think of themselves. But,
no, I think it's more a case of it just comes down to business, right? It's all about the numbers. It's how much you're going to pay us, how much we're going to keep making, how much are we going to... You've got to look at how much we're going to lose in terms of people not buying their games at $60. So, yeah, it's a hard decision to make. Clearly, it's working for EA because this isn't their EA Premium where they lose money on games. This is the games they put in their vault, which is probably games that wouldn't be selling anyway. I just feel like Ubisoft could come up with something like that. Yeah, absolutely. If they chuck, last year's Assassin's Creed in there and stuff like that, or Watch Dogs 1 and 2.
Exactly, they could do well.
Yeah.
I think they could do well out of it. I think EA giving themselves a little bit much credit maybe to say that Game Pass Ultimate has accelerated its growth. I think accelerated is probably too less of a word to put in there, to be honest. Like strapped a rocket to its ass and sent it off. To 13 million players. I would love to have seen the numbers before it was on to jump from, whatever it was to 13 million. I'm sure that was a hell of a jump.
I can only imagine.
But yeah, I'm sure, look, this is all good news for them, right? And like you say, it's their vault at the end of the day. So it's games that wouldn't be selling anyway, and they're getting in more hands, and maybe playing 2 years ago FIFA inspires you to pick up the new one, and it's all good news, right? So
100%. Keep the player base growing. Next piece of news, which is great news, Call of Duty is ramping up anti-cheat efforts and has banned over 300,000 accounts in Warzone since launch. Along with that, we're getting weekly security updates, improved reporting in-game, two-factor verification, increased teams' resources, enhanced to interal anti-cheat software, additional detection technology, a bunch of other crap that no one cares about. But the thing we care about is the fact that these accounts are getting banned. I have stopped playing Call of Duty, as most people know, due to cheaters. I just couldn't be bothered with it. I was done. I'm done with the meta right now, and I was done with the cheaters. I will go back and learn the meta because there are no longer any more cheaters. That's
Hell yeah.
It's a big
We'll
one.
have to jump in together. I'd be keen to play with you. I'm touched Warzone since pretty much since launch, to be honest with you.
Dude,
so
I'm
I'd be
ready.
keen to jump back in.
Let's do it. Let's definitely do it.
Yeah,
Let's definitely do
I
it.
think it's good news. One of the bullet points you didn't get to there, but is zero tolerance for cheap providers. I wonder how that actually nets out for them and what they're doing about that. I don't know.
I'm guessing they're gonna go for suing. I imagine what
Really?
they're gonna try and do. Yeah, because it breaks their TOS anyway. And if you've got a website up selling these cheats, or I think it's a zero tolerance in terms of selling cheats, providing them online, finding them in YouTube videos, stuff like that. It's just like, we're going to try and come for you and get rid of this to the best of our ability, which is something we've been waiting for. Like, as someone who I've played every season now and done pretty well. I'm decent. I wouldn't say I'm amazing. I'm not like a pro or anything, but I'm decent. I can average a lot of kills per game, and we move quite well, me and my squad, when we're playing. It's just, I couldn't put up with getting sniped out of the sky and other things. Like I said, the meta is a big one as well, but that's something they'll fix slowly. It won't just change overnight. So, yeah, but I think
they've done well. They've done well so far with kind of dealing with the meta, right? Like, I know a lot of buffs and what's opposite to a buff?
Nerfs.
Thank you. I'm proper gamer boy. A lot of buffs and nerfs been coming out, kind of timely, right? And so
well, they're getting there. The DMR stayed a little bit too long, but again, it's a hard one. Like, making games ain't easy, so I can imagine just reducing one thing can make something else super overpowered. And yeah. Next up, one that a lot of people are excited about: Mass Effect Legendary Edition is releasing on May 14th. Are you a Mass Effect guy?
No.
Me either. Oh no, we're in trouble.
I played Mass Effect 1 when it came out, and really felt like I was like it was a chore. And unusual for me because I like big Star Wars, Star Trek guy, and so sci-fi and all that. Love it.
So it's right up to your. That should be right up your street.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, everybody knows that Mass Effect 1 had some issues gameplay wise with, you know, the classic elevators, right, taking forever. So hey, if the elevators now are SSD blink of an eye fast, I'm all for it. And maybe I'll jump back in. I felt like with Mass Effect 1, I never really connected with the story enough. It was a bit too complicated. But I mean, I played it so long ago that maybe I was just a dumb kid. So I'm definitely intrigued to go back to it. What I want to see is, and I don't think this is necessarily what's happening with it, is a bit of an overhaul UI wise. I want to, like, skill trees and stuff tidied up. Like, I want to see some real effort put into that. And I know a lot of people probably wouldn't want that. A lot of people probably just want a prettier, faster version of the game they play.
I have a couple of screenshots that I saw the UI be changed. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not a Mass Effect guy, so for me, this does absolutely nothing. I have no interest in playing it. I'm sure my Twitch chat are going to bully me into playing it. Because you've got to love it. Everybody loves Mass Effect. I'm like, you guys don't love Resident Evil, but I don't get on your case. I do, but that's not the point. So yeah, for me, I'm happy that people are getting this the way people were happy for me when Resident Evil got I know this isn't a remake, but like, it's got remade. Like, I'm happy that you're going to get to experience this in a better way than it currently was. That's all I can really add to this. Bring on May 14th for you guys, you nerds. You can have it.
I was just looking at our Tech Radar preview for it now. Guy Nick Pino played it, and his headline is Mass Effect Legendary Edition improves the original trilogy, but not enough to make us replay it.
Oh,
so which is harsh, but I'm not replaying it. I will theoretically be playing it for the first time, at least
Me
2
too.
and 3.
Yeah.
So maybe that is enough to get me back in. If it improves the original trilogy, not enough to replay it, but to play it for the first time on your new console, maybe I'm in.
We'll find out.
I'll definitely give it a try.
Next one, a piece of sad news. The initiative's design director, Drew Murray, steps down from Perfect Dark. Murray cited that personal reasons were the reason he was stepping down from the team. He added a bunch of other comments that you can go find on his Twitter. It's worth reading. Check it out. But shout out to Drew Murray, obviously. Big played a big integral part in the initiative, Perfect Dark, and my favorite game that on the last gen, which is Sunset Overdrive. So
Sunset Overdrive is an absolute banger.
Yes.
So yeah,
love that game. Next up, Don't expect Overwatch 2 or Diablo 4 to launch in 2021. Activision Blizzard isn't planning on launching either Overwatch 2 or Diablo 4 in 2021, the publisher told its shareholders today. So they had a financial year, as everybody has at the moment, talking about lots and lots and lots of things, and this came out. Are you Overwatch guy? You like the Overwatches?
I really enjoyed Overwatch when it launched and played it for a few months and then was into it and then dropped off and never went back.
Yeah.
I'm surprised more so at Diablo 4. I think to be honest with you, I didn't expect either of these to come out this year. But if either of them were going to come out this year, I would have expected Diablo 4 over Overwatch 2.
Ah, interesting. I'm the opposite. I was expecting
really?
I was expecting Overwatch 2, but not Diablo 4.
Interesting. I think probably at this point, I mean, they're very different audiences, and I was going to say that I think people will be more excited for Overwatch than they will Diablo. But I know there are hardcore Diablo fans out there.
Yeah, I think even this Overwatch 2 is still weird because like people I was talking to about it the other day was like, oh, it's free to play, right? I'm like, no. But, like, this is a single player with some new online, and you can play the online in Overwatch 1 still, but you can't play the single player, and people are still confused to what they're actually getting with Overwatch 2. So it doesn't surprise me that it's not coming out. They need to explain that a bit better already. So
Sure. It'd be interesting to see what happens with it. I think if they can catch the zeitgeist in the same way they did with Overwatch 1, still has a really dedicated fan base, really dedicated player base, and especially in competitive scenes and stuff like that. So, man, if they can keep that going and maybe, sort of take the top podium slot away from what is it at the moment? CSGO and Valorant, right? Still up there, still kind of those three fighting for it.
Yeah.
And Overwatch 2 really could catapult them ahead, I think, if it
done right.
comes out well. Exactly, if done right.
If done right, definitely. Hitman 3 is coming out, or it's out actually. They've just revealed their first bit of roadmap content. The only content that matters on here is Kind of Funny's got a contract. All right, nobody cares about any of the other stuff unless you're actually a Hitman fan, which then you probably do care about the rest of this news.
Like most people listening.
Yeah, well. But yeah, you should go check it out on their Twitter. They've got a great video that just came out for it. Explains what each piece of these content is. But the only one I care about is the Kind of Funny one. Kind of Funny Darth Maul features contract, which is coming February 23rd. Do we get to kill Greg Miller? No.
He's probably going to be killing you, mate.
No,
Let's face
is the
it.
answer. No is the answer, but it would be nice, wouldn't it?
It's such a cool idea. It's such a great way. Because, like I said, I was done with Hitman. I thought I was done with Hitman. And then I see this pop up. Awesome. If they get content creators involved in this kind of thing, it's gonna bring people back or in for sure.
You took the question out of my mouth, which was going to be, this is the smartest idea they've done, right? Which is,
for sure.
To be fair, they've started with two smaller creators, I would say, Min-Max and Kind of Funny. Imagine when they start reaching out to, I don't know, Jacksepticeye and all the big, and then they play their contract on their stream or on their YouTube video, which is then going to boost it, which is then going to get their audience to want to come over. This is such a smart business play.
Incredible.
From them.
Really smart. Yeah.
And that's kind of why I'm memeing a little bit about this is the only content I care about. It's because it opens the question up of like, if you have content creators that are Hitman content creators, they are going to be lapping up this content all day long. Like, this just gives that game's life so much longer to keep putting content out there for people to play, don't get me wrong, but people to create content as well. It's gonna be huge.
It'd be really interesting to see if we're still talking about this in 2-3 months' time and there's still or the next roadmap, what the next roadmap looks like for this, who's on it.
So this one goes from February 4th to March 8th. So where do we go from March 8th to the end of March? Is the question.
Super interesting to see what happens with it because, it like you say, it could explode and get picked up by huge people. They could keep it relatively low down like it is now with lesser creators. That sounds horrible. That's not what I meant at all.
They're not millions of subscribers.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not Ninja. It's not Ninja.
Exactly.
But it could eventually be Ninja, right? You could see it happening. And so, such a smart play. Like you said, really, really smart play.
Yeah. Next piece of news, and our last piece of news, is a really important one. MLB The Show 2021 launches on Xbox April 2021. The long time PlayStation exclusive series, MLB The Show will launch on the Xbox platform for the first time in history on April 2021, the same day as on PlayStation platforms. I remember this coming out not too long ago, the news about it coming to Xbox, but I thought we were gonna get banged in the butt cheek somehow. I assumed Xbox
12-month
players
exclusivity.
well, I just assumed maybe not because it's a sports title, but I expected a couple of months, something to persuade people to want to buy it on PlayStation first. It sells really well on PlayStation every year, and I was a little bit shocked when I saw day and date. But the other thing that shocked me was this is the first game from PlayStation's first party which will support crossplay across Xbox and PlayStation. Day one. They're finally waking up, people. They're finally waking up. Like, this opens the doors for every game. Like, we've been talking about it. Fortnite's got it. A few other games have got it. But, like, this is the first sports game to have it. Now, the pressure's really on EA 2K to go, oh, yeah, we have cross-player as well. Cross-progression, cross-play. Like, we've got that too now. Like, this needs to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. I hope that sort of PlayStation has looked across the water at Xbox, seen that Xbox is making this play for, we don't care where you play, we just want you playing, and have kind of gone on board with that messaging now. Maybe they've been shocked a little bit by how successful Xbox has been with their launch. Maybe they really underestimated Xbox Series X and all the rest of it and Game Pass.
I think
and maybe now they're looking across and going,
right? They look at they look at the revenue of it, and it's like PlayStation sells really well. Will outsell the Xbox guaranteed because they have brand loyalty. But services do really well, and if you can make play PS Now versus Xbox Game Pass, there is no competition. I would say the PlayStation 5 versus the Xbox Series X, there is no competition. I think Xbox Game Pass is always going to be bigger, and I think the PS5 is always going to sell more. It's two different strategies, but I think it's PlayStation looking over the wall a little bit and going, they've just made money from us by putting Minecraft on here. They've made money on Minecraft dungeons. They're making money from us. Why are we not doing this? Don't get me wrong. They're not going to do it with everything, and not even the majority of things, I would say. They're big staple things. But a sports niche title, baseball is not big anywhere but America, if I'm not mistaken. Like, this game deserves to be on another platform for people to get to play. So, imagine this goes in Game Pass one day. Just imagine. That would be crazy.
No way, right? There's no way.
No, I assume there probably isn't. Well, there probably is a way. Lots of money. But imagine that does happen. That would be so funny to me.
Yeah, and maybe they look at it as well. And like you say, it's a sports game. So sort of timed exclusivity would really hurt it, I think. Yeah. And so maybe they're looking at it and saying, well, this game has a life cycle of 12 months. And so by putting it to other platforms, it doesn't really hurt us in the same way, you know, some of our single player big tentpoles would.
It only helps them because they're going to sell more copies and have more player base for their online servers. It only helps. Yeah. Games with gold this month. You got Gears 5, February 1st to February 28th. Resident Evil, February 1st to February 28th. Dandara. Tiles of Fear edition.
Differently every single week.
I mean, bro, welcome to my Xbox and me, trust me. February 16th to March 15th, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, February 1st to February 15th, and Lost Planet 2, February 16th to February 28th. Let's plug, and get ourselves out of it. What you got to plug this week?
Not a lot. Just follow me on Twitter, @MattPVideo.
@MattPVideo, indeed.
So, I need to tweet more, man.
Make it a thing.
Set an alarm on my phone.
You could do that, or just react to the industry. That's what I try and do. That's literally what I try and do. Something comes out, people want to hear your opinion. So why not? And if they don't want to hear your opinion, they'll unfollow you. That's what they do with me.
Facts.
Who cares?
Facts.
You can follow me everywhere @MCFixer. The big thing, what am I doing right now? I'm just working on a lot of stuff in the background, to be honest with you. So come follow me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/MCFixer. I'm live usually 3 days a week. I've been live a little bit more this week because the Medium and playing Assassin's Creed, which I didn't speak about. Assassin's Creed, such a good game.
Brilliant. Valhalla is top.
But yeah, apart from that, keep supporting the show. Make sure you email in questions, myxboxandmepodcast@gmail.com, or tweet them at us. And until next week, we will love you, leave you, and see you all later. Keep being you, and Goodbyes.
Bye.